welcome back to our Scores Morning Mayhem. And today we are doing my picks for the annual Army-Navy game. It's more televised than the national championship itself. It's the biggest event of the year. More popular than the Super Bowl, the college football playoffs, and the entire NBA season combined. It's the annual Army-Navy game. That's right. That's what we're doing picks for. What? No one wants to hear that. You're saying I should do Week 14 NFL picks instead? So no one actually cares for Army-Navy. Well, you heard it from whoever that guy is. We're going to do Week 14 NFL picks. Let's go ahead and get started with later tonight, Thursday Night Football. It is my vision's terrible. It's the New England Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers. If I didn't know that right now, I would be in a whole lot of trouble. But it's the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots, folks. That's right. Mitchell Trubisky starting for the Steelers against... I don't really know what to say because, after all, we all know that the Patriots aren't really a team. Okay. Anyway, I'm picking Pittsburgh on this one. I thought it was pretty obvious who I was picking from the beginning of this video. It's going to be a close game, mostly because it's Mitchell Trubisky, but I wouldn't be surprised, say, if New England won, but I'm taking Pittsburgh. Next up, we have Sunday at 1 o'clock. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Atlanta Falcons. See this here. The Falcons are actually kind of running away with the division, in my opinion. I think they're in a good place right now. I think they're in a good place to win the NFC South. I'm taking Atlanta over Tampa Bay in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I'm taking the Falcons over the Bucs. Next up, we have the Lions and the Bears, an NFC North rivalry matchup. I'm taking Detroit on this one. Pretty hands down going with Detroit. I don't think the Bears stand much of a chance. I'm going with the Lions. Next up, we have the Colts and the Bengals. Jacob Browning actually looked pretty impressive against Jacksonville the other night. And I would personally love to see Cincinnati win another game and maybe throw 2 or 3 touchdown passes from 50-plus yards to Jamar Chase. But that's only because I have him on my fantasy team. Honestly, I think I'm going to go with Indianapolis here. If Cincinnati wins again, I might pick them in a couple of weeks maybe. But I'm going with Indianapolis over the Bengals in this one. Next up, we have the Jaguars and the Browns. Trevor Lawrence, a big maybe for this game. I'm not quite sure how I feel about the Jaguars' chance of beating Cleveland. Joe Flacco, I mean, you never know, really. You never know what Joe Flacco might do. I honestly didn't check what my record was from last week's picks, by the way, but I got a winning record, I can tell you that much. But anyway, I'm taking the Browns over the Jaguars with either 25% Trevor Lawrence or C.J. Beathard. I'm taking the Browns defense to take out the Jaguars without even needing help from Joe Flacco. Next up, we got the Panthers and the Saints in New Orleans, another NFC South matchup. I'm taking New Orleans. Their offense looked much improved. Maybe if Derek Carr misses out, we might be able to see a Carolina victory because of Jameis Winston. Everyone remembers Jameis Winston, right? Somehow he managed it on several Bucs leaderboards for statistics by a quarterback, but that's only because he played for 4 years, throwing 30 different interceptions per year. I'm not a big Jameis Winston fan. But I am going with the Saints in this one. I think Alvin Kamara has really stepped up to the challenge as the season's gone on. I'm taking New Orleans over Carolina. Next up, we have the Houston Texans against the New York Football Jets's. That's right, that collapse of a team, the accident waiting to happen, and Zach Wilson's right back in at quarterback for New York, taking on the rookie wonder himself, C.J. Stroud. I think you could tell why I'm picking on this one. I'm taking the Texans by a fair amount. Tank Dell, losing him for the year, really is kind of bad, but I think as long as they don't lose Nico Collins, they still have an okay wide receiver room to last them a day. No, I'm kidding. It'll last them the rest of the year with just Nico Collins. I think he's done a really great job in Houston. With C.J. Stroud throwing to them, I think the Texans do have a decent chance at making the playoffs. I'm taking the Texans over the Jets to improve their record to 8 wins and 5 losses. Interesting. Next up, we have a very interesting matchup between the Los Angeles Rams and the Baltimore Ravens. Probably my 1 o'clock game of the week right here. Ring the bell for the upsets just because I'm rooting for the Rams on this one. I would love to see the Rams win. Puka Nacua has looked really dynamic. With Kyren Williams back, he's brought the Rams back to a whole nother level. Honestly, I mean, with Kyren Williams back, the Rams could beat anyone. I'm going to say it. They can beat anyone. They can beat the Dolphins. They can beat the Chiefs. They can beat the Ravens. They can beat the Jaguars. They can beat the Eagles. They can beat all these teams with Kyren Williams back. I think I'm going to go ahead and put the Rams on upset alert there. I'm not picking them because I think that would be the wrong decision. I'm taking Baltimore over the Rams, but definitely keep them in the back of your mind if you're doing like one of those pick the biggest upset of the week. I would go with that one, and I think that has a pretty decent chance of winning that one. I would keep the Rams right on up there in the playoffs, really, because even though they are 6-6, they're still a top team. Right now, they missed Kyren Williams and Matthew Stafford for 2 games, lost both of them. Now they got Kyren Williams and Matthew Stafford back. Matthew Stafford's playing better than I've seen him play in a long time. Their game against Cleveland was pretty impressive. I didn't see all of it, mostly because I was in an airport. But I did see the very end of it, and that last drive they orchestrated to put their lead up to 10 really was impressive. I'm taking the Rams. I'm taking the Ravens, but I am talking a lot of good things about the Rams. I am taking Baltimore in this Baltimore, even though don't count the Rams out in that one. Next up, we have the first game of the late window, 4:05. It's the Vikings and the Raiders. People, Joshua Dobbs, the turnover pastronaut, as they called him. The pastronaut. For those that don't know, they call him the pastronaut because he's like an aerospace engineer. So he's like the nerdy quarterback, which is what he wants to be known for. So they just called him the pastronaut because he's an aerospace engineer. And, and he's against Las Vegas. I'm taking the Raiders on this one. This might come as a surprise to a few people, but I really like what Alec Pierce has been doing there in Las Vegas since he's took over. They've actually looked pretty impressive. They held their own against Miami. I watched the entirety of that game. I was really impressed. I'm going with the Raiders over Minnesota. Mostly because Minnesota just looked terrible a few weeks ago against that. I'm just checking the notification that just came in talking about all the quarterback transfers in the transfer portal. I mean, the transfer portal makes things more interesting. I'm going a little bit off track right now, but the transfer portal makes things a little more interesting in college football. Whether it makes it better, some quarterbacks will get a chance to show off. Like, say Brock Vandagriff, former Georgia quarterback, just transferred to Kentucky. Maybe he's the best quarterback we've seen in 10 years, but he was stuck behind Carson Beck because Kirby Smart thought that he was better. And now here is Georgia getting a spot in, the Peach Bowl or something? Instead of actually ending up in a championship game. I'm actually not the Orange Bowl. They ended up in the Orange Bowl. That's right. I'll do bowl predictions one of these days. I got a week right now. It's still Army Navy annual whatever week. I'll also make my pick for Heisman at the end of this video because that's this Saturday I think. So I'll do that. But anyway, going back on track. Raiders over Vikings. Next game 4:05. It's the Seahawks and the 49ers NFC West rivalry. Seattle looked pretty good. They found a new format that really worked against Dallas. I don't know what they did different, but they did something different against Dallas, and it might be able to work against San Francisco if San Francisco wasn't an infinitely better team than Dallas, and they just come off of a big win against Philadelphia. I feel like Seattle might be able to bring San Fran down to earth a little, but I'm still taking the 49ers. That was an impressive victory over Philadelphia. Watched the entire fourth quarter of that game. Really, really fantastic. They played really well. Really ran away with that one towards the end. I'm taking the 49ers. Next up, we have America's Game of the Week. It's the Bills and the Chiefs in Kansas City. I don't think this is the Game of the Week. I'm taking the Chiefs. Yeah. I'm a little bit disappointed about the Chiefs over the last few games. They haven't looked the best. Say. I did it again. I keep getting distracted. ESPN keeps sending me notifications. Yeah. Juan Soto got traded to the Yankees. Big deal. Not going to help them. I don't see the Yankees doing that much in baseball. Anyway, going back on track. I'm taking Kansas City over Buffalo. I haven't been overly impressed with Kansas City. I really haven't. Green Bay's lost. Really, I wasn't surprised. I was maybe half surprised, if anything. I was kind of like, oh, they lost to Green Bay. All right, that's weird. It just wasn't like them to lose to Green Bay, but I'm not shocked because this is the kind of stuff that Kansas City does. They lose to the teams that they're like. You lost to them like last year. Again, I'm bringing this up again in last season. In week 2, they lost to the Colts in overtime because the Chiefs didn't think they had any competition. They were playing Carson Wentz or whoever the Colts quarterback was last year. And they got Matt Ryan. I don't know who it was, but they got destroyed. They lost 26-22, and that's just the kind of mentality that the Chiefs have when they go into a team like, oh, we don't have to play because they're Indianapolis, they're Green Bay, or it's not going to be any challenge. And now Kansas City's all the way back at 3rd place in the AFC now. Well, they were first. The Dolphins hold first. Let's go Dolphins. They've done a really good job. They really deserve it. But anyway, I'm really disappointed about that for Kansas City. I am taking the Chiefs mostly because the Bills are not beating Buffalo. They're probably going to lose like 35-31 again. Last attempt, Hail Mary by Josh Allen falls incomplete, like it normally does. You know, Bills lose by 3 points, so forth and so forth. Anyway, next up, 425 window, it's Broncos and Chargers. I'm taking Denver in this one. The Chargers, I'm disappointed. I really am. I expected the preseason hype for the Chargers, insane. Kellen Moore is going to do so much good. Justin Herbert's just hit his peak. Keenan Allen's trying to be the best receiver in NFL history, blah, blah, blah. I'm done with it. No mas, Los Angeles, they're done. I picked them last week because I was in San Diego, and I mean, they were playing the Patriots, but the score was 6-0. That's insane. You call Kellen Moore one of the best offensive coordinators in football? I say no. No. I call false on Kellen Moore being one of the best offensive coordinators in college football. I call false on him being good in Dallas. I'm going to do it again here in Los Angeles. He's not doing anything worthwhile. Brandon Staley out. Kellen Moore out. I'm done with everything that's happening in LA right now. I'm sick of it. 6-0 against one of the worst teams in the NFL. I'm not having it from the Chargers. If I were to do my power rankings right now, they're like 26, even though they have a 4 and whatever record, 5-7 record. They're still like number 27 for me. 6-0 against the Patriots. Ridiculous. I gotta say, I'm a little bit mad about that. It's like I could do an entire like Mad Dog, what are you mad about sequence just about the Chargers and the Patriots game. Like that game, I could almost hear the commentators at the end of that game going, and here it is, folks. This is the final score of Chargers Patriots. Thank you guys so much for listening to us today, and I'm surprised that we even have one viewer because honestly, I think I might retire after this. I mean, 6-0, ridiculous. I'm done with the Chargers hype. I'm taking the Broncos. Broncos country, let's try. Second week, they paid off last week. They paid off the week before that. I'm taking the Broncos. Actually, they lost last week. Did they? Nah, I don't remember. I don't remember. Anyway, Sunday Night Football, Eagles, Cowboys, good game. It's a good game, yeah. Eagles, really disappointed in them after San Francisco. Cowboys, big Cowboys hater. I'm taking the Eagles. I don't care how disappointing they play. I'm taking the Eagles over the Cowboys. Next up, we have our Monday Night Football double feature. Not a double header, a double feature. Both these games happening at the same time, 8:15 on Monday Night Football. First up, we have Dolphins-Titans. I'm taking the Fins over the Titans. Hold on to that number 1 crown. The Dolphins will try against Tennessee. And really, they are on fire right now. They got one of the easiest upcoming schedules until the last 3 games. They got the Titans and the Jets, 2 easy wins for Miami. Check them off your list. And then they got Dallas, Baltimore, and Buffalo, which they should be able to, assuming the Dolphins can actually beat good teams. Whatever that's about. I still don't understand that. I think the Dolphins are a good team because in the end, if they win all of these bad games, they're still in the playoffs. They're still in the playoffs if they beat all these teams and Buffalo. They're in the playoffs, which, yeah. So, anyway, last game of Monday Night Football, last game of the window. It's the Packers and the Giants. I'm taking Green Bay. I'm on the train. I'm on the Green Bay Packers train. I'm going for them. Let's go. I've always been a Jordan Love fan. I've always said, you never know. You never know what he might do. That's always been my opinion on Jordan Love. So I'm taking the Packers over the Giants. Teams on bye are the Cardinals and the Commanders. As for my Heisman pick, I honestly have no idea. I kind of want to end the video here, but I also wanted to say what my Heisman pick was. So the options are Jaden Daniels, Marvin Harrison, Bo Nix, Jalen Milroe, and Michael Penix, right? Yeah, those are the 4. 5. Those are the 5. So it's Harrison, Penix, Nix, Penix, Nix, Harrison, Daniels, and Milrow. Yeah, so those are the 5. I want to say Bo Nix, but I don't think it will be Bo Nix. I think it's probably going to end up going to Michael Penix. I think Penix kind of deserves it more, but I'm rooting for Bo Nix. I'm taking Bo Nix for my Heisman pick. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this. And if you were watching this to know the Army-Navy picks, I'm picking Navy. Let's go Navy over Army. I will see you guys in the next video.